Hello, Gary Simon of DesignCourse.com. Today we're going to step into Blender with a quick, well, kind of quick, I think it's like 25 to 30 minutes long, video tutorial about creating really cool reflective surfaces and materials. And so we're going to create just a pretty simple 3D compass needle type of thing just to illustrate different types of reflections. Alright, so if you've never used Blender before, you'll be able to follow along pretty decently, although you might want to follow a few other absolute beginner tutorials first. But yeah, check out DesignCourse.com if you haven't yet, and subscribe here on YouTube. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so if you've never messed around with Blender before, basically a quick introduction. The way you select objects is right-clicking, not left-clicking. To move around in the viewport, you can just hold your middle or third mouse button, and then you use your scroll wheel rather to zoom up and down, and then to pan, hold shift and that middle or third mouse button like this. All right, so that's the only introduction I'm going to do. So go ahead and delete this cube. So select it, hit delete, and enter. Very simple. All right, so I'm going to create kind of just like a what's that thing called? What the hell am I thinking of? A compass needle. And so the way we'll create this, actually I shouldn't have deleted that cube. I'm just going to hit Shift A real quick, and right here, select cube. Shouldn't have deleted that initial. It's such a habit, I just deleted it automatically. But anyhow, so yeah, with this cube, what we want to do is make some adjustments. So we're going to go into edit mode. Right now in object mode down here, click on that, gets you to edit mode, or just hit tab to toggle between both of those. So edit mode allows you to do things like this and a lot of other things. It allows you basically to deform the actual object, and then object mode allows you to do basic things like scale it up, rotate it, move it around, etc. So in edit mode, what we want to do is hit 1 on our number pad, and that gives us into the front view. And just real quick, 7 is top, 3 is side, right, and all that. Hitting Control, that gets you to the left. Control 7 bottom, Control 1 back, etc. So you get it. Actually, we'll just go to top view real quick on 7 and hit Control R, and you'll see this gets placed here. And what we want to do is just, left click once, hit enter. And that adds an edge right in the very center of this. Then what we want to do, go back to 7, is turn this on, or just click this button and hit A, and then B as in boy, to select those. Now if this wasn't turned on, it would only select these two, the visible portion, the vertexes. Right now this will select the ones behind them as well, so that's the purpose of that. And so now what we want to do is delete and vertices. Then we want to come over here. I'm going to hit N to get rid of that part. And we're going to add a mirror modifier. So you click on this little tool, add mirror. What that does is it's going to allow us to only have to work on this side, and this will mirror everything over here. I'm also going to make it so that we can mirror the other way as well. So the way we'll do that is hit Control R on this side, left click, hit enter, hit A, B, select this portion, delete vertexes, and hit Y. So now whatever we do over here, for instance, is going to be mirrored on those other two axes. Very simple. All right, so now what we want to do is get this into a basic shape of a compass needle. So right now this is obviously a cube, not like the actual shape at all. So what we want to do is we'll go to side view, we'll hit, or front view rather. This is actually back, so Control 1. What we want to do is scale everything down. So hit A, then A, hit S for scale. But we only want it to be on the Z or Z axis. So hit Z, and then scale this down quite a bit. All right, simple enough. And we're also going to scale it in. Let's hit 7 to get the top view. We hit, if we take these, hit A and then B, and then take these by left clicking and dragging, we're going to make it longer. And then to hit A and then B. And I'm going to rotate over here real quick. And we want to make these real close together. I think right there will be fine. And if you want to get absolutely dead close, you click on clipping, move it over. That way they won't intersect. All right, so now what I want to do is also bring these together, these 2 points. So with them selected, what we can do, actually they weren't both selected, hit A and then B, make sure they're all selected because there's 4 points there, not just 2. And hit S for scale and then Z. Just like right around there. All right, so now it kind of tapers, and ideally we'd want it to taper like this. So if we hit 1 to get into, well, or 3, we could see that everything evenly comes out like this. Let's take this and just drop it down like that. So it's almost flat. All right, very simple. All right, so I want to make another adjustment. So we're going to go into edge select mode, right click this top edge right there, and we're just going to raise it up a little bit. So the more different type of geometry that you have, the more reflections we're going to get, basically. All right, and so just for the fun of it, just so we can really see the metal reflections that we're about to do, we can go ahead, go to tab to object mode, and we can add a subdivision surface. You can see that really distorts everything. We're going to increase this to 3 for the view and render. And let's go back into solid mode rather, or edit mode by hitting tab. And what we want to do is add some more edge loops to get this more structured. Control R. Sorry about that, wrong side. I'm going to hit Control R over here. Control R over here. Move it all the way up. All right. And add another one right here, Control R. And this time I'm just going to left click and then left click again to set it. And hit S for scale. And then we're going to try, X. X will work. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, I'm being slow as hell right now. Yeah, Z. And I think right around there will work. Hit Control R again and move it up against it. Control R again to move it up against it there. Control R to move this over here. All right, kind of just looking at this, see how it's looking. Now we also want to go to tab into object mode and hit smooth for shading. All right, that's looking pretty decent for now. Yeah. This should give us some pretty cool looking views for the reflections we're about to do. All right, so now what I want to do is go ahead and start setting up the scene a little bit. I'm going to hit Control A, or Shift A rather, hit plane, and hit S for scale, and we're going to choose 50. Just hit 50, and we'll scale it up 50 times so it'll be huge. We're going to right click our object here and move it up just a little bit. like that. And we're going to go to the World tab. First, before that, we're gonna, or right after rather, go to Cycles Render, change that from Blender Render to Cycles Render, something I always do. Make the world color bright. What that does, if we go into Rendered, it makes everything real bright. Otherwise, the default color makes everything, it's just gray by default. So we'll make this bright like that. And I'm going to go over here into the render section, change to GPU compute, makes everything load or render rather a lot faster. I'm going to change in sampling 10 samples for the preview, which is this is the preview, and the render is very low. That's why it's grainy right there. So let's go ahead. I'm going to change. I'll try this to 1,000 for the render when we go to render, and then this one for to 100. So now it's a little bit better looking. And then we're going to go and change to from performance. If you're using GPU compute, 256 by 256 for the tiles, and that will help for rendering. And so GPU compute real quick. If you don't see this option, just hit Control Alt and U, or go to File, User Preferences, and go to System. And if you see compute device down here, you can select CUDA, and then it shows your graphics cards right here. And then select those and you'll have those options. All right, so now what I want to do is get set up with our actual material for this. So right now it's just like this white clay or whatever. Let's switch to the material section, and we want to make sure that our needle is selected. Right now the plane selected, selecting that. So in this, what is it, the rendered mode, you can't see what's selected. I guess we can switch real quick to solid. This is selected. So what we want to do is hit new. And for the surface, this is diffuse by default. Change it to this right here. Now, if we go back to rendered, we'll see that it changes it quite a bit. All right, and it looks pretty cool, but what I'm about to do makes it look a lot cooler. And there's an issue right here, which I may fix. But anyhow, what I'm talking about is this isn't really reflecting anything except for light. So what we want to do is left click and drag out up over here. And we want to switch over to the node editor. Now the node editor is basically a much more dynamic version of everything you see here and all these options. So you know what, real quick, I'm going to join this area by right clicking it. I'm going to pull this down instead of to the left. That makes the view a little bit bigger. All right, so now in here, we see these little nodes are called, and we can move them all around. What we want to do for this is add a reflection texture of sorts. And so the way we can do this is we can hit Shift A, Texture, Environment Texture. Connect the color node to this color node right here. Switch to rendered, and it's this pink purple color or whatever, because there's no file currently selected. Before we select that, I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to add input and texture coordinate. And then right here, you see reflection. Just connect that real quick. Hit open and just select a photo. I mean, it doesn't really even have to be anything specific. This is actually, I'll show you the picture later on, but yeah, you can't really tell what it is at all. But right now, this doesn't really look too, I guess you could say, realistic, or it doesn't really look good. And it's certainly not any type of I guess you could say like a chrome, because it has all this color in it. So we can adjust that real quick by adding in a few color adjustment nodes here. So if we hit Shift A and we go to color, mix RGB, actually I'm going to delete that one. Shift A, color, and go to hue and saturation. Connect this color to this color to there. Now we can adjust the saturation of this down to 0. So now it's just black and white. And that looks pretty cool because you're getting this random sort of reflection or reflective material based on whatever you chose here for this image. All right, so you can also adjust the brightness and contrast of this. So if you wanted to, Shift A, color and brightness and contrast. If you hover over it, it'll automatically connect those. So now if we change the brightness, you can really do a lot of cool things, obviously, with this. Now, what's even cooler is we can say, for example, you have a specific view or perspective that you like, but there's not much part of the image texture that's getting reflected, like right here. Well, the way you can do this is move this over, hit Shift A, and we're going to select vector mapping. And this massive monster comes up here, and you can just, when you hover over this line, it becomes orange. Click on it, and now we can adjust through these 3 axes the location of this. So if we want it to be on the Y, we can just left click this. We can see how the material is adjusting, or the location. And you can play around with it just to get some cool looks. I think that's a little bit too much. But anyhow, that way, depending on the perspective, you can get some good results. All right, so you can also adjust how this appears by adjusting the roughness. Right now it's at like 0, or it was at 0 by default. If you turn the roughness up, you can mess with that a little bit. And I'm just playing with these, really. All right. And if you want some more like shadows casting off of this or anything like that, go into solid real quick. I'm going to click up around here, Shift A, mesh and plane. It's kind of far away. I'm going to move it over. RX 45 degrees. I'm going to pull it up. R and Z, and make sure it's facing our needle thing. S2, just to scale it up 2 times. And hit New. And make it an emission plane. It'll act like a light. That is, if I can find it, right there. We'll try 10 at first, just to see how this affects the view. Let's go into camera mode, so you just hit 0 on your number pad. Just see what this looks like. Hit N as a nose, and lock camera to view. That way, when we change it, hit N again to hide that. That way, when we change our view, the camera gets moved along with it. All right, so now let's see what this looks like rendered. All right. And so this, of course, we tried 10. What does 100 do? What's 500 do? Probably be like way too much. I'll try 100. All right. Trying to get a perspective that I kind of like from this. Right click this, play around with the location a little bit more. I kind of like that. This looks pretty cool. All right, so then I'm going to right click over here, join area down, just to hide that portion. Hit N to get out of there. Oh, not N, rather. Hit 0 on the number pad to get out. And I want to see what I can do real quick, because this issue is annoying the hell out of me. Yeah, I think one of the vertices that I adjusted got scaled up and out. So let me go ahead and switch into edit mode by hitting tab. All right, so let's go to vertex mode, A and B. A and B. A and B. B, let's get that up. All right, that's better. So now we'll go back to rendered, and that's looking a whole lot better. Hit 0. All right, I like it. So, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna go to object mode, right click on the plane, and give it a diffuse texture, and I'm gonna hit 0 real quick. Let's see what we can do with this background color. There, now we have some lighting information in there. We hit 0. I like it. Cool. Yeah, that is it. So now what we want to do, if you want to render this, just some quick tips. For the render, we have 1,000. Our preview is 100, so 1,000 is going to be more than enough to get a good picture here. When it comes to the resolution, 1920 by 1080 is default. This 50% thing means it's only going to take 50% or half of 1920 and half of 1080. And so you're not going to get 1920 by 1080. I don't know why it's 50% by default. But take that up high, and I'm going to make mine 1280 by 720 just because that's the dimensions that I record these videos. And you are ready to go. Hit render. And so depending on the speed of your computer and how many samples you use, this may take a little bit of time. For me, it's not going to be too long, maybe 30 more seconds or so. So I'm going to pause until this is finished. And that is it. That's the image. I think it looks pretty damn cool. So that's how easily that you can add reflective chrome surfaces, or materials rather, and it can really just impact the look of your final render. So if you want to save this, hit F3 and then save it wherever you want to. Let me go there where I need to. I'm going to pause. All right, I paused real quick. I mentioned I would show, what image I use, because literally when it comes to these reflections on a type of surface like this, you can use almost anything as long as it's just there's a lot of variation in it. It's not just like one solid color or something. And so the reason I use this image just because when I chose, just to show you, this is so funny. When I go to node editor, when I was doing this project beforehand, I open up the folder. Wait, where is it at? Yeah, when I opened it up, it just went to my C drive, and I saw just one image. I didn't know what it was. I just clicked it, had no clue. Well, I went to go take a look at what that was exactly, and it's actually this image right here of my wife. And this is probably this is several years ago when she was pregnant or something, and obviously pregnant. And she had like this picture done of I don't know, some friend was a photographer or something, and she took this picture, and I thought it'd be really funny to Photoshop her smoking with this Jack Daniels bottle over here. Anyhow, that's what the picture is right here. How awesome. Anyhow, she wasn't a fan, by the way, of the whole smoking and drinking stuff while pregnant, which understandably so, right? Anyhow, check out designcourse.com if you haven't yet. Subscribe here on YouTube, and look forward to a new video. I don't even know what yet, but for tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Goodbye.